Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes sparked controversy and left the audience wondering how something so horrific could yet be so entertaining. In the 80s, he changed it up and he reinvented the teen horror genre with films like A Nightmare on Elm Street. That movie has all afraid to go to sleep and fear that Freddy Krueger will somehow help us if we did. Not to mention our parents told us not to watch movies, not to watch them. A few years later, he brought Scream and its 3 sequels, sold out theaters nationwide while taking audiences on a Clue-esque ride to discover who was taking out teens in the small town of Woodsboro, California, and introducing us to another horrifying character, the Ghostface. Those are his film stats, but I kind of want to take a moment to tell you about my friend Wes Craven. Wes was a stark contrast to what one might think that a person who creates such films would be. He was a soft-spoken man who was actually easily startled and ironically didn't like the sight of real blood. Fake blood, okay. Real blood, it was squeamish. One would guess that a director/writer who in his films once smashed a human head to pieces with a basketball would actually also be an avid birdsman. The man seriously not person, an unhealthy like a person. In the end, he was a loyal friend, and I'm thankful that Wes could have chosen any of the 5,000 film festival who probably asked him in the past to do an award, but only decided to support the Catalina Film Festival. And sitting in his living room and watching the horror block with Wes, so that he can pick the winners, is a memory that I will cherish forever. Before we announce our Wes Craven Horror Block award winners and award winners, can we have one of Wes's all-time scariest characters come to the stage right now and help us do this? Please put your hands together for Rob Englund.
I just wanted to remind all the fans out there, and we're fans and you're fans, and you were so eloquent about Wes changing horror at least 3 times in the last quarter of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century with the Nightmare franchise, The Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, obviously the Scream franchise, but think of Wes's eye. Wes was not only a writer and a director, but some of the talent that we may all respect. Wes brought us Nev Campbell. Wes found Bill Pullman. Wes found Johnny Depp. Wes found Patricia Arquette. Wes found Jamie Kennedy. Wes found just recently signed Courtney Cox, who just begun her first season of Friends, David Arquette, so many extraordinary actors over the years, and I think it's neglected sometimes what a great eye Wes had, Sharon Stone, among others. And I just wanted to kind of throw that out to everybody. And one little quick indication of Wes's personality, although it did the bird watching. But I did a series for Wes up in Vancouver, Canada. Unfortunately, titled The Nightmare Cafe. Wes, I think, wanted to call it Terminal Cafe or Last Chance Cafe. And it was kind of a Twilight Zone show. And another actress that he championed, Angela Bassett, was one of our guest stars. We worked very hard on this show, and on Saturdays we would all congregate at somebody's apartment, but mostly it was mine. My wife and I had a great little 2-bedroom up by the beautiful Stanley Park there, where we could walk our dog. And we were all watching Saturday night, and through about a couple of 6-packs of beer, Jack Coleman from Heroes, Wes Craven, myself, and the darkest, sickest sketch in the history of SNL came on called Ed Wound Area, which actually had a dog licking the guy's head wound. It sounds grosser than it is because it was quite absurd, but it was so silly and so funny. And all 6'4" of us, gangly, tall Don Quixote Wes, fell off the couch in hysterics laughing at this sketch, and laughing so hard that he was crying. And we all were, because it's that thing that happens when somebody really loses it like that, especially when you're acting with them, that we all laughed, Jack and I, my wife, the other co-star, Lindsay Frost. And I just like to think that part of the reason Wes let me see that little boy that was still alive in him, that 14-year-old fanboy that he always sort of kept, on the back burner and listened to. I like to think that, by that time, working with Wes, and I've done 3 movies with him and a TV show, that he finally felt comfortable enough to come to my house, to my little funky apartment in Vancouver, and let me see the real Wes, the Wes that could still be a 14-year-old boy. Anyway, thank you.
Career came of age, along with video, and then cable TV, and then DVDs, box sets, Blu-ray, digitally remastered, Netflix. So just by the nature of the new technology, I'm on my 3rd generation of fans now. Some kid goes home with his dad on a Sunday if mom and dad are divorced and waddles into the man cave and looks at a 50-inch screen, and you pop on Nightmare on Elm Street Part 7, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, or Freddy vs. Jason, and they look better now than they did when they were in those crummy, suburban mall cinemas. So I've got a whole new generation of fans, and it's just been a kind of great bump here the last couple of years. I can go for days and I'm not recognized, but usually in a restaurant or a bar, the first time somebody comes up, then everybody comes up because they thought it was me, but they weren't sure. So what'll happen is I'm really nice to like one family or one fan, and then everybody in the restaurant has to get a piece of the action. So I'm okay with it most of the time. If I'm having a couple of beers or a couple of glasses of wine and families bring their kids in, I always get a little uncomfortable.
Right.
If I'm down, like I live in Laguna Beach, if I'm home, it's on a Tuesday and some tourists from Phoenix are in and they bring the kids in to see me, and I'm, two Chardonnays down. I'm a little embarrassed about my breath, stuff like that. But otherwise, it's really great. And, it's really fun for me now to when I travel internationally, and I've done 14 movies in Europe now. It's really fun to see all of the press and the posters, the foreign posters, because they're really different than the American ones. So I started to collect, like, the Thai posters of me swallowing Patricia Arquette, and things like that. Without sounding glib, he was my Dr. Frankenstein, and I'm his Frankenstein's monster. But, Wes, I worked with Wes 4 times. I starred in 3 movies for Wes, and I did a television series for Wes up in Vancouver. And on the television series, we really finally got close beyond the sort of professional relationship that we had. And that doesn't mean that we didn't have dinners or drinks and kid around a little bit, but up in Vancouver, Wes would come to my apartment, sometimes on a Friday night or a Saturday night with Jack Coleman from The New Heroes, and Jack was in my show up there, and I really got to know Wes, and the thing I learned about him was he kept that 14-year-old fanboy alive in him, along with the brilliant, wise Wes, and the writer Wes, and the director Wes. There was also this sort of 14-year-old fanboy because, Wes was not allowed to go to the movies as a child. He had a very sheltered upbringing. So he was always kind of playing a little bit of catch-up. I think when he was young, he saw the art movies first. And later in life, perhaps in his early 20s, he started to see some of the fun movies. And I can remember watching Saturday Night Live with Wes, and he almost wet his pants. It was like being with like a 15-year-old kid who was allowed to stay up late at night.